The first time I felt two mouths on my body at once, I forgot how to breathe. My legs were trembling. My back was arched off the bed, my throat dry from whispering Jason's name, until I accidentally said Lena's instead. I do not know what came over me, pleasure, shock, confusion, but for a few minutes, I was no longer a wife. I was a fantasy being devoured under candlelight. But the real shock did not come from the sex. It came from what I saw through the bathroom door afterward. That was the moment everything about my marriage changed. Because while I stood there wiping myself, body still hot and shaking, I watched Jason bury his face between Lena's thighs. And she moaned, my best friend, while gripping the same sheets that were meant to hold just the two of us. Before I take you into the deep end of this story, I want to say a heartfelt thank you to all my returning viewers. You are the reason I keep telling these stories, raw and real. And to all the new visitors who have not yet subscribed, I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button. It fuels this channel and gives it life. Please make sure to like, comment, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I truly want to know what you think about what happened that night, because it was only the beginning. My name is Emily Grayson. I am 34 years old. I live in a quiet, brick-faced suburb just outside of Houston, Texas. I have been married to Jason for 6 years. He is the kind of man that makes other women raise their brows in admiration, tall, clean-cut, and always smelling like something expensive. We met at a conference in Miami. He told me I had the kind of smile that made a man forget his sins. I believed him. And that belief carried me through all the years of dinner parties, mortgage payments, and holiday photos that looked perfect on the outside. But no amount of carefully curated Instagram filters could have prepared me for what came the night Jason said we needed to spice things up. He said it casually, after dinner, when the dishwasher was humming and I was folding napkins. Lena is coming over Friday, he said. What do you think about us, including her? At first, I laughed. Because Lena? My Lena? My wild, gorgeous, boundaryless best friend from college? The one with the nipple ring and a tattoo that stretched across her hip bone like a whispered dare? Jason must have been joking. But he was not. He stood behind me at the sink, rubbing small circles into my waist, whispering how beautiful I was, how he loved me, and how this would be our decision. Our game. I should have said no. I should have reminded him that Lena and I had history, a kiss at a party once, a few drunken nights where lines blurred. But instead, I said yes. And Friday came too fast. Lena arrived in a deep red dress, with lipstick to match and a bottle of something French. She hugged me tightly, whispered, "Are you sure, babe?" And I said I was. I even believed it for a while. We started with drinks. Then music. Then touches. It was all laughter and teasing until Jason kissed her right in front of me. Not on the cheek. On the mouth. Slow. Intimate. Something twisted inside me then. But the twisted feeling turned into heat when Lena walked up to me and kissed me too. Her lips were soft. Her hands knew where to go. And Jason stood behind me, pulling down the straps of my dress as Lena kissed my neck. Soon, we were on the bed. All three of us. Limbs tangled. Breath heavy. I remembered Jason entering me while Lena kissed me deeply. I remember her fingers between my thighs. I remember how freeing it felt, like flying in the dark. For a moment, it was not cheating. It was discovery. Until I got up to use the bathroom. I left them tangled in sheets and laughter, thinking I was part of something magical. I was flushed, trembling, overwhelmed. I closed the door behind me, splashed water on my face, and stared at my reflection. I looked like a different woman. My lipstick was smudged. My eyes were glossy. My skin was glowing. I smiled. But that smile died the second I opened the bathroom door and saw Jason, still hard, on his knees in front of Lena. And Lena, moaning louder than I had heard her all night, held his head like she owned him. I froze. They did not notice me. He licked her like she was the only one in the room. And when she grabbed his hair and whispered, "Just like that, baby," my stomach turned. That was not a threesome. That was a secret. That was something they had done before. I backed into the bathroom and closed the door. I sat on the toilet and listened to their pleasure fill the room. I waited for it to stop. My fingers were still sticky with him. My lips still wet with her. But I felt cold. Used. I stared at the mirror again and whispered, "What did you just agree to, Emily?" When I finally walked back out, they were under the covers, pretending to sleep. I crawled in beside them, silent. Jason kissed my shoulder. Lena turned her back. I did not sleep. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, realizing that this was not about sex. This was about betrayal. About layers of lies dressed as fantasy. And I knew something else then. That night had not been our first threesome. But it was definitely my last. Morning came too quietly. The sunlight did not warm me. It burned. I lay stiff between Jason and Lena, my mind caught in a storm of questions. Their breathing was calm, bodies curled toward one another. I felt like a ghost inside my own marriage, like I had offered myself as a gift to a fire that was already burning long before I stepped in. Jason woke first. He kissed my forehead, then Lena's. His lips were not hesitant. They were familiar. That told me everything I needed to know. He walked to the bathroom naked, whistling. Lena stirred next. Her eyes fluttered open, met mine, then quickly looked away. She pulled the sheet up to her chest and said good morning as if we had not just been tangled in sex and secrets a few hours ago. I did not respond. I got up, walked into the kitchen, and started brewing coffee. My hands trembled as I poured the water. My body still ached from the night, but not in the way I hoped. I expected soreness from lust. Instead, I felt it from humiliation. Jason came up behind me like nothing happened. He wrapped his arms around my waist and whispered, "Last night was amazing." I wanted to scream. But I kept calm. I smiled and asked him if he and Lena had done that before. He pulled back. "What? No. Baby, that was our first." Lena entered then, wearing one of my silk robes. She leaned against the counter like she lived there. When she saw my face, her smirk faded. I looked her in the eye and said, "Tell me the truth. How long have you and Jason been fucking?" She blinked. Jason stepped in between us. "Emily, come on. What are you talking about?" I stepped back. I was not ready for a fight. Not yet. I needed facts. Proof. Not just my suspicion. So I said nothing more. I let Lena leave, told her I was tired. She dressed quickly and kissed Jason goodbye. I watched how her hand lingered at his chest before leaving. The second the door closed, I turned to Jason. "Let me see your phone." He laughed. "Why?" I stared at him. "Because if you have nothing to hide, you would not ask that." He refused. That was all the confirmation I needed. The next few days were cold. I barely spoke. Jason acted like everything was fine. He sent flowers to the house. Booked a dinner reservation. He tried to kiss me in the kitchen while I was slicing vegetables, but I turned away. My body flinched at his touch. I knew I had to know the full truth. So I did something I never thought I would. I called a private investigator. Her name was Melody Kane. She was sharp, direct, and wore black like it was armor. I gave her Jason's schedule, Lena's address, and full access to his car's GPS and the house camera backups. I expected her to come back with something in a week. She returned in 3 days. I met her at a cafe 10 miles from home. She opened a brown envelope and slid it toward me. Inside were pictures. Jason and Lena in a car, his hand up her skirt. Jason leaving her apartment building, his shirt unbuttoned. Lena sitting on Jason's lap, outside a bar we used to go to. Dates and times were scribbled on the backs. The timestamps proved what I feared. They had been sleeping together for at least 4 months. While I was planning our anniversary trip, Jason had been busy screwing my best friend in her townhouse. I felt my throat close up. Melody said gently, "There is more." She handed me a USB. "Security footage from your own home." 2 weeks before the threesome. I drove straight home, locked myself in the guest bedroom, and plugged it in. The video played. Jason was in our kitchen. Lena entered through the back door. He grabbed her immediately, kissed her hard, bent her over the kitchen island. Right there. Where I prepared our meals. Where I made him breakfast every Sunday. I threw up in the bathroom sink. I cried until my throat was sore. But then the tears stopped. And something darker began to rise. That night, Jason came home smiling. He brought wine. He said, "I want to talk. About how distant you have been." I sat on the couch and listened. He spoke about love. About wanting to reconnect. He told me he never felt closer to me than he did during the threesome. I asked him again, "Are you sleeping with Lena?" He shook his head, hand on his heart. I stood up. Walked over to the TV. Inserted the USB. Pressed play. He went pale. He did not say a word. I let the video play all the way through. Then I turned to him and whispered, "You are disgusting." He tried to speak. But I had heard enough. "I gave you a fantasy. And you turned it into betrayal." He begged. He dropped to his knees. He promised it was over with Lena. But I had seen enough lies. I had heard enough rehearsed apologies. And yet, I did not leave. Not right away. Because while betrayal burned, revenge had only just begun to rise inside me. And I knew just who to use to make him feel exactly what I felt. His business partner. Marcus Lane. Tall. Broad. Smooth-talking. And always watching me with hungry eyes. If Jason could screw my best friend behind my back, then I would tear apart his entire world from the front. And I would do it with pleasure. Revenge is a strange kind of hunger. It does not whisper. It roars. It kept me awake at night, wrapped in sheets Jason once touched, planning the kind of betrayal that would not just hurt him, but undo him. I did not want him to cry. I wanted him to bleed. And I wanted to do it with Marcus Lane. Marcus was everything Jason used to be, and more. Older. Broader. Dangerous in that smooth-talking, expensive suit kind of way. He and Jason had been in business together for over 5 years, running their upscale real estate firm downtown. But where Jason saw a partner, I had started seeing a predator circling. One night, at a business gala last spring, Marcus pressed his lips against my ear while Jason went off to grab drinks and whispered, "If you were mine, I would never let you out of bed." I had laughed nervously then. I was still the loyal wife. But now, those words came back to me with new meaning. So I invited him to lunch. He wore a navy suit and sunglasses. Smelled like lust and leather. We sat at a hotel rooftop bar overlooking the city skyline. I did not waste time. I leaned in and said, "Do you still want to know what it would feel like to have me?" He blinked. "Are you serious?" I nodded, slowly. "But only if you are ready to cross a line you cannot come back from." He smiled. "Emily, I crossed it the moment I met you." That night, I did not go home. I let Marcus take me to a penthouse suite he kept downtown. The second the door shut, I pushed him against the wall and kissed him like I wanted to erase Jason from my memory. His hands grabbed my hips like he had been waiting years. He whispered, "Tell me what he did to you." I said nothing. I just let him undress me. Every touch felt like vengeance. Every kiss was punishment. I let him do to me everything Jason never dared. I rode him until my thighs ached and my voice broke. I let him take me on the glass window while the city blinked below. When it was over, I stared at the ceiling and smiled. I had not just cheated. I had risen. But I was not done yet. This was not about pleasure. This was about exposing Jason in the same way he exposed me. So I began a plan. I started forgiving Jason. Smiling more. Cooking his favorite meals. Pretending to warm back into his touch. He fell for it. He began bragging to his friends that our marriage had never been better. That the threesome opened new doors. He had no idea one of those doors led straight to Marcus. Meanwhile, I met Marcus every Tuesday and Thursday like clockwork. We had sex in his office. In his car. Once in the changing room at the gym. But the masterpiece was still coming. A dinner party. Our anniversary. 6 years. I invited Lena. Told her we were healing. Told her we wanted her there to celebrate. She hesitated, but agreed. I also invited Marcus. As Jason's co-host. We lit candles. I wore a deep green satin dress. My makeup was sharp. My eyes colder than ice. The table was perfect. Wine poured. Laughter danced in the room. Then I stood. Tapped my glass. Jason beamed. I just want to say, I began, how thankful I am tonight. Not for my husband. But for what he taught me. Jason's smile faded. Lena raised an eyebrow. I continued. He taught me what betrayal tastes like. He taught me how lies smell when they come through the mouth of someone you love. Gasps. Jason stood up. Emily. I held up a hand. Do not. Not yet. I pulled a small remote from under the table. Pressed play. A projector screen on the living room wall lit up. Footage. Jason and Lena. Fucking on our kitchen island. Gasps turned into screams. Lena stood up, shaking. You recorded us? I turned to her. You mean when you were screwing my husband in my home? She stormed out. Jason stood frozen. Guests sat in horror. But I was not done. I looked at Marcus. He stood. Walked toward me. Took my hand. And kissed it. Thank you for letting me love you the way you deserve, he said loud enough for all to hear. Jason's jaw dropped. I turned to the crowd. And for anyone wondering, yes. I fucked his business partner. And yes, I enjoyed every second of it. Silence. Then a single clap from one of the guests. Then another. And another. Jason tried to follow me out the door. I turned and said, do not chase me. You already lost. I left with Marcus. Moved into his downtown penthouse. Filed for divorce the next morning. Jason lost more than his wife that week. Marcus pulled out of the firm. Took his clients. Jason's reputation crumbled. I watched it all unfold like a woman watching her ex burn in the fire he lit himself. Do I regret anything? No. Because sometimes, the only way to heal, is to hurt back harder.